welcome to the Hope Now podcast. As you know, I'm Pastor Scott Harper, and I have a very special guest with me today. I've asked my lovely bride, my lovely wife, to come in and sit at the podcast, and I got some notes I want to ask you about different things, from everything from being the Henry Wright and Donna Wright's daughter, to even how was the first day of school yesterday for the OA.
Quite the gamut.
I figured I'd hit the range of all of this. So, one, I want to thank everybody for joining us again, and we'll see how, who knows what this is going to look like, because I don't know if you and I have ever done just an interview podcast, the two of us, ever.
No, Facebook Lives and some services. But
we'll see if I can behave. So, for the sake of conversation, what do you do here at Hope of the Generations Church in Being Health?
Well, I'm first and foremost a pastor, one of many.
I miscounted that the other day.
Did you miscount it? I was like, I'm just going to say many because I have to think and count.
There's 7 total. I had to look at Nate because he's the one that said, did you mean to say? So there's 7 in total.
Wow. Yep. So one of. Then my day-to-day, obviously, is I'm a principal at our academy, preschool through 12th grade. And that definitely keeps me busy, even during the summer. The common misconception is educators are off on the summer. It's not true. So that's my everyday. I'm not even going to say 9 to 5. It's, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night.
You and I seem to send emails between 10 and midnight to people, which isn't healthy, but it's what we do.
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
So if I can just I know what your life looks like.
There's that.
But for the sake of those who are watching and listening, so of all the jobs, your primary responsibility is wife to me.
Yes.
Mom to how many kids?
Well, first primary is daughter of God.
Primary daughter of God.
Then wife to you.
Correct. Mother how many kids?
11.
How many grandkids?
4.
How many dogs?
5. Do the grand dogs count? They do. They live in our house.
Count.
So
they're
yes,
in our house.
5.
You are a principal of a school.
Yes.
A pastor of Hope of the Generations Church. And if I'm not mistaken, still going to college.
Yeah.
All in 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty impressive.
You just made me tired.
So
I'm really good at juggling time and management.
As Dad would always say, we leverage time.
That I do.
Very much so.
God is pretty amazing to make a day stretch or not stretch, depending on the need. We get it all done.
So we'll start in the OA, at least for a little bit of the conversation. Heart and vision of the academy, and explain to people what the academy is. We can say a school, and we talk about Overcomers Academy, but can you just share your heart a little bit about the school?
A little history. 2014, Mom and Dad decided, well, that and the rest of the pastors, but really it was on Mom and Dad's heart to have an academy where our children of our church body and our ministry could go, that it was a safe place that we could pray for people. We could work out our salvation daily with fear and trembling, sometimes on the playground. That we
Foursquare.
Foursquare, which we're...
Hey, so I got to butt in for a split second.
We both got excited.
Sorry.
I was about to say the same thing.
And I couldn't get a picture up and running. We'll figure it. We'll post videos and all that stuff later on. So if you guys remember at the end of the year appeal that we did,
December,
we talked about doing we talked about doing a multi-recreational court. Wow.
Good job.
Hey, without notes. It's got basketball, volleyball, pickleball, tennis.
Mm-hmm.
Foursquare. We skipped the badminton course because it's the same as tennis court.
It's the same as pickleball.
Whatever. It still is something else already painted out there. Well, we got the court done.
Yeah.
It got finished about a week or so ago with the asphalt done and getting it all layered. The guys are out there painting it right about now.
So exciting.
So they got the white going down for the basketball because it's on blacktop. And I don't remember the color scheme because he had to change it around a little bit. I think red is Foursquare and blue is pickleball. And
green and yellow and gray.
And so
it'll be fun. We'll
I tried to do pictures. I was going to throw it up on a screen, and it was like, we're not going to worry about that today.
We'll wait till it's done. Then they can have a reason to tune back in.
But that's pretty cool. We got some courts and some the nets and everything still to do, but the paint is getting done. So it's like, oh.
Yeah, all the students were like, can we play on it? I'm like, no, it's got to dry. So tomorrow, it's going to be packed. I think that no, not tomorrow, because
tomorrow at the campground.
Yeah, we'll be at the campground. So Monday, I think all of the kids and the teachers, actually probably more so the teachers, are going to be like, let's do class outside.
So sorry to interrupt on the excitement of...
That was exciting.
The school being able to be...
People's prayers and money is coming to fruition. It's nice.
And so back to where we were on the conversation, where you work out your fear and trembling daily on the
True.
On the during recess.
And so that we can do our being health principles. I mean, we do it every day. Dad would joke and say the 3 R's and then the 8 R's, even though reading, writing, and arithmetic don't all start with R. But we do academics, and we're good at academics. We recently got accredited this last school year. It was a feat, and I'm so excited about it.
What does being accredited mean? What does it mean in totality? And what does it mean to you?
It just means somebody on paper validated what we were already doing. Sorry, accreditation team, if you saw that.
I'm going to send Steve a text.
Right. So it really it just means that we are at the same level as public schools or private schools. Awesome. And college recognizes our transcripts. I mean, we have not had any trouble getting our students into any colleges, unless they were local. But we have, goodness sakes, we have a 90% college rate of our graduates. We've had that they've been accepted to different colleges, prestigious colleges. I mean, we've had Baylor, Catawba, Columbus State, Georgia Southern, Ole Miss, Southern Crescent.
No offense, Corwin's, but Ole Miss.
West Georgia Tech, Gordon. I mean, we've had a lot of, I'm probably missing one. Somebody's going to say something and say, what about? And I'll remember. That's just off the top of my head. They've been accepted into honors programs in the colleges. So it really is just verifying what we've already been doing. It just put a piece of paper with it. And so then it also helps our students get qualified for Hope scholarships and different things that they were not able to do before. Just helps us out a little bit.
How does it feel I was the principal beforehand. I understand Pastor John was before me. How does it feel at this point in the journey to have been, the school's now been in operation officially 10 years.
Yeah.
We've come a long way from being a 2-room schoolhouse to 6 teachers. 40
we have
students.
8. Well, I guess technically we have 7 full-time teachers. Some of them do double duty. In fact, I'm teaching a class this year. And so it's humbling. It's a lot to keep up with, but, God's given me the responsibility, so I got it with his help, thank God. It's fun, though, because all of the teachers have the same heart. And in order to be a teacher at our academy, you have to go to our church. You have to be keeping up with your continuing ed in being health principles, not to mention anything. With accreditation, we have Bible classes that we have to take to continue our accreditation. Plus, there's continuing ed as far as classroom management, stuff like that. But the caliber of teachers we have is fantastic. But it's really an organism that just continues what we do on Sundays and what we do in the For My Life programs and what we do in Be in Health. And it just continues it on into our academy. And it's amazing the things that we've seen. I mean, we've seen students come into our school with IEPs, which is like special education specialty things that we need to do. And we follow those. But we have had where we just had to toss them because they don't fit into that criteria anymore. So not only are we dealing with the spiritual roots of it, but we get to do it day in and day out. And so we've seen where learning disabilities have been decreased in so much so that they're not there anymore. We've seen children that came into our school with, kindergarten reading levels in 3rd and 4th grade get to the point where they're with their peers within 2 years. Because we can collaborate the spiritual with the academic, and we can pray with students before they take tests and talk to them about fear or self-sabotage or things that happen that would hinder their academics. We have an awesome internship program for our high schoolers. I'm just going to toot a little bit because then they can intern with Be in Health. We've had them anywhere from guest services to the bookstore, media, editing,
maintenance,
IT. I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff. Yeah, Pioneer Village with the campground. We've got them doing stuff in like our marketing department with graphic design. We've had them with running. Having a fresh, younger perspective in social media has been fantastic.
Yes, it has.
It just kind of appeals to a younger group so that we can hit the 18 to 20-year-olds as well as the 60, 70, 80, 90-year-olds. And all encompassing, but the school's been a pretty good part of that to kind of get some fresh insight, but we all are like-minded. So that's been kind of exciting. What's
your vision for the OA?
Oh, goodness. I don't think you have enough time. Today or let's see.
If you were to take, looking at what we're doing for Be in Health, we've got a vision, our next little stage. And we've broken that 10-year vision to bite-sized pieces. Now, granted, I understand that for me to ask this question means I have to move.
You do.
Because
you guys have got to vacate.
Because part of the vision is we've got to get our 10-year vision completed to give you space to be able to do that. But
I love how you say 10-year, but it's really going to be like 5 or 6.
It's what I call everything. If God truncates the time frame and makes it quicker, so be it. But the original thing was still a 5 to 10-year vision. But when you were there at the very beginning stages of the OA being birthed.
Yes.
You went through the labor pains. You went through the formation of it, the original legality stuff with Pastor John to create it through. You put up with me for 7, almost 8 years being principal, which is a feat in itself.
And practice.
Now that it's kind of like in your hands of where you want to take it, what has God put on your heart for the vision of the OA? Because even though we both have a vision together for the totality of Hope of the Generations Church, but yours, God's given you an opportunity with the OA to take it to the next stage, next levels. When you close your eyes, what do you see with the OA? Well,
it's kind of funny because when you initially said, I see a tsunami of people coming, it was really in direct correlation with what I see, because I see that with a tsunami of people coming that we're going to have to minister to, that are going to be part of our church, that are going to be part of our ministry, that we've got to be able to have the capacity to do. With them comes children. And I had, in fact, before you even said that, I had been talking to Dorian before then and said, Dorian is my assistant, amazing. I'm shouting out to her. If you've ever had to call the school or do anything with the school, she is phenomenal. But she, I was talking to her, I said, we have got to figure out how we can reach more students in the space we have until we need to move to a bigger space.
Yeah.
And so already we've seen increases just from word of mouth and things like that. So when more people come, they'll bring their children. And when they bring their children, we have to have a safe place for them to go to school. And that, we don't have bullies at our school. We have children that sometimes decide they're going to fuss and fight and carry on because they're children.
They're kids.
But we don't have the same kind of issues that they have in the public school system and things like that, because we know how to deal with it, because we know what's behind it, because we can separate. And so with that, moving forward, I'm really been working the last couple years to make sure that our skeleton of our crew is strong, so that when we start adding the muscles and the tendons and the skin and everything else, so when we grow and expand and it's scalable, that when we have 300 students, which I believe God will absolutely send us, we'll already have all the policies, procedures, and the core group already done, which we have a fantastic group. So growing really, it just, the vision really mirrors what your vision is for the church and the ministry. It just is a little sector of it. I see that in the years to come. Already, I just got out of a meeting talking about, okay, what's our sports program going to look like for the next coming school year? Because, it's, if you're not moving forward and you're not growing, what are you doing? You're stagnant. And so that's our next step. The court was kind of a good catalyst. It's not the end all, and so what does this look like now for a sports program? What does it look to beef up
especially the accreditation? Exactly.
Because then we can start competing with other schools within the same category as us, traveling and things like that. The next step would also be beefing up our music program. I would love to be able to at some point build up within our students the people who are going to be singing on our praise and worship team and playing our musical instruments and creating our own things. That's the next step in my mind. Our art program. I won't steal one of the teachers, but I already have somebody that volunteers that works at Be in Health right now, and so as we grow, maybe she can do both. I don't know, but I got my eye on them.
I'm sure we can share.
Beef up our art program as well.
I'm good at sharing.
Awkward pause. So, those are kind of the things. Those are just like little things, but honestly, just as the church grows, the school needs to be able to do so with it.
I agree.
And honestly, my goal is pushing Be in Health out of the building, which means that it has to grow into the new property, which is fantastic.
So I'll give you I know that this, and some of you may or may not know, depending on where you are following things. We were actually able to close. Oh, that was this week.
It was like
we closed
2 days ago, 3 days ago.
3 days ago on the property. I'm actually, the way I'm dressed, and I smell a little bit like off spray and a few other things, because I went and walked the property today and prayed over it. And so just seeing that forward motion with it, that we're seeing what God's opening doors to be able to do, because I know, agreed, with a tsunami of people coming, which we've said from the beginning, that's what we really are preparing for. It's every age bracket. It's not just you're in my age bracket or Nate's or mom's. We have to prepare for the olders. We also have to prepare for the youngers, the more seasoned ladies and gentlemen, but it's also those that are just starting their life with us. I mean, in the last month, we've had one new member of the church body, was born, which two in the last month. So that opens up doorways for future kids, future students, and even our future leaders down the road.
Yes.
Because as we're training them up, it's to train them not just in the biblical, not just the accreditation or the academics, but the same thing you and I have been working towards, and I know Pastor John as well, but in the OA as a totality in 14 years, or in 10 years, it was since 2014, it was the application of what you learn. Yes. Not just, I can add, subtract, multiply, and divide.
To do that too.
But also be able to how to budget your accounting, to put everything that you learn, practical application, put it
life
into
skills,
an application that was beneficial.
All the things that you see on social media that people are like, oh, we should bring this back to schools and we should bring this back. I get on there really quick. I'm like, our school does that. We do that. We teach horticulture, but not in like this is just an only class, but we teach kids how, to good stewards of the land that God's given us, and animal husbandry. And I mean, just like all of these things we get to do, we get to teach them. I mean, we had people teach them how to work on an engine and change oil. We teach them,
We've built a water pump before, too.
We did. It was a ram pump, which needs no electricity. That was so much fun. So, and these kids they thrive in that kind of thing. And so we give them creative outlets to be able to give insight back. And it's like, there was a problem at one of the animal places, like out at the campground. So we have the retreat, and then we do some of our electives out there so that they get to be with the animals and things. And they were like, if we did a solar something out here, we could have this and that. And I'm like, draw it up. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Figure it out. There was, this is going to sound gross, but manure was underneath some rabbit cages, but the stuff that was growing underneath it was lush, and they were like, what if we planted this? And so we talked about planting the hay that the rabbits would want to eat underneath, so that it's just does what it needs to do, and it would come up and grow up underneath them. And so we got lots of ideas, and they're student led, because if it was just for us teachers, or you get the same old, but these kids are really smart, and they have the option to do it. What I said when I was thinking too is our Bible program at the school is an integral part of our church services. And so part of what they have to do is they get in, they take notes during church services, so they journal that, and then they take notes during our assembly time. And then we have a scripture every week that they have to not only memorize, but then they have to talk about what the meaning of it is, and as part of a grade. But the biggest part is the practical application of it. So they have to discuss not only like John 3:16, and they could say, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whomsoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life, okay? Or eternal life. Can't remember which one. Don't hold me to it. So, okay, I just did a memory verse, but what does it really mean? Well, God, the Father, so loved us so much, he gave his only begotten son, Jesus, that he would save us. Well, what does that practically mean? And so there's 3 different parts to it that it gets in them, and it gets in them, and so that's probably one of my favorite things, is because then every day of the week, we talk about it. We talk about what the verse is. We talk about how this fits. Last year, we did the entire school year on the fruits of the Spirit. And so every month we did a new fruit, and then we did correlating verses that went with it and talked about what it meant and how you can practically apply it. So love was a whole month of love. And then joy was a whole month of joy. I'm seriously considering doing the Beatitudes this year. I haven't totally decided yet, because I still have like 4 more days to figure it out.
I know a really good teaching.
I know there was a really good teaching, and I was already thinking about it. And then if you guys didn't see it, there's a teaching, a couple weeks ago that this lovely man did. But I was like, oh, this could be.
There's 9.
I know. And
Just one per month.
It's 1 per month. Yeah. And then with the correlation at the end. So I don't know. It worked well last year. We'll see this year. But that's part of it too. It's that it's all intertwined with God. I mean, that's our mission. And so when I talk to the teachers, even at the beginning of the school, it's like, this is our mission. We may not be going to Kenya right now, or we may not be going to building an orphanage in Madagascar right now, or, a school or whatever, which I totally want to do. But
I know a guy.
I know, right? I really want to do that. But this is our mission every single day, that we are establishing generations of overcomers. And we're at the ground level of these generations. You guys get to do over in I say right now, but later it'll be way over, during a For My Life program, which we have going on simultaneously with our school right now. You guys are handling that generation, and we get this generation of initial things. And I mean, I just look and go, even everything that I had growing up, I wish I had this as my schooling. Like, I look back as an adult now and go, man, what these children get is pretty phenomenal.
I would agree. Yeah. So you have a heart not just for education, but for kids.
Yeah.
I also understand, if I know anything about you,
I hope
your degree you originally started getting back into education was for the full purpose of helping the school move forward, but it was also in what specific area of education?
Well, are you talking about my first degree? Okay, so I decided to go ahead and do, it was educational studies for just education purposefully, but then my specialty was special education. And so I actually am certified from preschool through 12th grade for special education. There's actually 2 of us on staff at our school that have that degree. And honestly, I wanted to know what the world's answers were. And then I wanted to know what our answers were according to what God says, and meld the two so we can really have students that would be able to just thrive. So that's a nutshell without going
That is. I mean, that was pretty cool. So what made you even want to get into education?
I don't know. I mean, from the very beginning, and then I can remember being like 5 or 6 years old. In fact, me and my sister were laughing about this the other day. I would always have a classroom set up. I would always teach the kids. When I was going to go into education after I graduated, and I had a scholarship to Vanderbilt. I was going to do music education, and then I decided in my wonderful 16, 17-year-old knowledge of life that I really just wanted to do makeup. So I decided not to take that scholarship and went to cosmetology school. It was a little blip. That lasted a couple years. It was really good to make a little bit of money and stuff like that, but it really wasn't my passion. So once we started having children, I mean, you know this, but I guess I'm telling them now. Once we started having children, I realized that I had a lot to offer. So we started homeschooling our kids to begin with, until I started working more for the ministry. I'm not a great stay-at-home mom. Me at home alone with my children all day long is not healthy for any of us. And I realized that really quickly. So then I started doing these like co-op
different
things.
people have different ways.
They do.
It works great for some, and for others.
I need interaction with more people. The little army that I created is not. I need more. I definitely need more than that. So then I started doing a co-op within our homeschool like grouping, and so I had music lessons and tutoring for a little while until it got to be too much, because then I was also working at the ministry at that time. So I really honestly had a heart for education all the time. I went back to school to get my educational degree later in life. It was in my 30s that I did that. So, yeah, that's a nutshell. Now I'm doing exactly what I need to be doing. It's definitely my niche. I thrive in it. And so also I recently went back to school to get a degree in curriculum and instruction, because I really see because we've kind of done this, the vision is eventually our school will do our own curriculum. I'd love to be able to reach farther than just our local body. I'd love to have online applications for what we do, to be able to put that out there as far as, curriculum that is Overcomers Academy. I mean, we use really great Christian curriculum, but it's missing components that I think that we have a avenue in. So I've been trying my hand at it a little bit in some of our stuff. Like we do our own social studies, and right now, and we do our own Bible curriculum. It's not available yet. So if anybody starts coming in and saying, when is that available?
Bling,
I don't
bling,
know.
bling.
Right. Nate will get a lot of calls that he will send straight to the school. Poor Dorian. But that's where I'd like to see us go as well, simultaneously with the other programs and things. But just to kind of get, that we can have a discussion about fear in health. In anatomy and physiology of how it actually affects our body in fear, stress, and physiology, using the teachings that, Dad has done throughout the years. I mean, exposing the spiritual roots to disease. We have colleges that send people here that that do the For My Life program, and they get credit for it. And we're raising our kids in this every day. So that's kind of where I'm going next, is why I'm getting the degree that I'm getting, just so it teaches me things I don't already know.
Well, that was always Dad's heart.
To continue. Yeah.
To take what he started at with a more excellent way and everything, not just teach people and not just be a resource For My Life. That's one major aspect of it. But one of the things that I absolutely remember at the very beginning of this creational school, and even prior to it, because as you know this, but if they didn't, I started off working for Dad as his assistant. So hearing some of that original vision, granted, you and Mom and the rest of them heard it, dining room tables and kitchen tables and stuff like that. But, he wanted always a way to continue to expand that information, to get it to as many people as possible. Yeah. And when we first started with the school, I remember sitting around the bridge. We'd gone and looked at the old house on a fire tower, and can we put a school in here? And it would have been okay for that day.
Yeah, but it would have lasted us a year. Maybe
a year, maybe two. Not at where we are now. I mean, that would be, I don't even know what we'd use that for now.
Preschool?
I don't know. Back on target. But I remember...
Just our English classes? I don't know.
I remember... All of y'all were sitting at the other end of the table. Mom was sitting at the head. You were sitting off to where I would sit eventually. And you guys were all talking about the school. And I remember leaning and talking to Dad. He's like, this is what we need to do. Because we can continue to teach everything we're doing. Not just, like you said, not just the 3 R's and not just the 8 R's, but we can see this collaboration, this melding of scripture and melding of not arithmetic, academics that come together to really create an opportunity for a kid not just to survive, but to truly thrive, like you just said. Yeah. But even above and beyond that, take them to a place that then they're able to instruct their own kids down the road. And I remember sitting in there, and why I feel emotional about it, I don't know, but I might. But I remember I kind of squeezed into Dad, and during that was a season of my life that I was just focused on a couple things in my world. And I said, I leaned in and I said, I want to be a part of this. Mm-hmm. And he kind of smiled and he goes, we all need to be a part of it because it does require all of us at some level. Yeah. In our prayer time, our support and everything to help the academy to keep moving forward. But what he was envisioning was taking the stuff that's on the bookshelves behind me, the more excellent ways and the different languages, the different resources that are in the resource center, and creating this I've never heard him use the word curriculum, but the study guides that each of our students could follow along to where they could, very similar to, we did, my brain just Advanced Insights when we actually took the students over to the Advanced Insights.
Took the whole course.
Advanced Insights as a class, and they got credit for it, which actually went to their college credit. Yeah. That intermingling of that has just been amazing to watch. And I know you mentioned the success of our students, where they are in college, seeing what their growth is, but seeing their growth in just their maturity. Yeah. Throughout the year. I mean, even some of our kids and sitting around the teachers just the other day for lunch, and they were talking about different students that were growing above and beyond. They were taking steps further in being men and women of God and what they were doing. And that I account to not just parents, which they're a major key, but also to leadership of the school, because that's what you guys
I mean, we have these children 40 hours a week.
You do.
8 hours a day. There's got to be an impact. It has to be positive.
Now, I've got a ton of questions I could ask.
One more thing, too, I remembered. We started a Spanish program last year where we just kind of trialed it out with our preschool all the way through high school. So it worked so well that this year we decided to do it. And so they have Spanish every day. But as these students are growing into this, our second year Spanish students that are the high school ones, this year, I'm so excited. I haven't even had a chance to talk to you yet.
Well, I'm going to hear this firsthand before it goes out to millions.
Exactly. We're going to start doing some of the translations of some of our stuff, of our little things that we don't have Spanish translations for within the academy. And so their final grade for some of these is going to be their translation of it from English to Spanish. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited about it.
So I'm just thinking out loud now, wondering some things. Can we get some of this on video so that way we can reach more people with some of the things they translate?
Well, it'll be written.
Yeah,
form.
But then they can read it.
We could.
And share some of that in a podcast or in a video cast or something to kind of share that information out.
We have.
We can maximize some of this.
We'll talk.
Because I'm sitting here going, yay!
Yeah, I know. I mean, we have some bilingual students, and we've got. It's just been explosive. Some of the ideas that that some of them have come up with, and to by the time they get through 10 years of Spanish at the preschool level, we've got to up our ante. We already have to from last year, where we've just completely and Spanish curriculum that's being created by the school. I think we're doing better than I thought we were. Wow, we've done a lot.
That just made me tired.
Right? Right. We have fantastic stuff. Oh my goodness. So this Spanish teacher that's part of what we're going to be doing. So
it's actually kind of cool because I was talking to one of the gentlemen that's on our team here at Be in Health, and we're talking about doing Spanish conferences starting this year, next year. And I know a couple of his kids are in the school. And so seeing that connection there would be beneficial down the road too, because they just will learn it and grow it, and they could teach it someday.
And I didn't tell you this either. So breaking news.
Wow.
But
we do talk.
We do talk. It's been a lot in the last couple of days. So I have a student or two that are old enough to join the men's conference. And so it'll be part of their education that they can be out of classes to be able to go to the men's conference too. So that's the joy of our school, because it's like these young men that are now 18 that are going to graduate are able to join the men's conference and really just kind of dive into, and it doesn't hurt their academics.
That's cool. I mean, that kind of,
we've even had some of them audit, the For My Life programs too. It's just, we have the freedom, and their academics only get better because their spirituality is being addressed.
So you've plugged the men's conference for me.
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
October 18th and 19th, Momentum.
I plugged Spanish conferences too there.
Mighty Men of Valor. Registration's online up to, you got another week or so for early registration for the early bird discount on the men's conference. We've plugged upcoming Spanish conferences. We've plugged conferences in general. Before we close For My Life.
Yeah, I just hit the gamut.
Advanced Insights.
Right.
I'm thinking, do what?
The Academy.
The Academy, of course. If there was anything you wanted to share, this could be anything about for the school, for Be in Health, for church. If you could say a encouraging word to those that are watching and listening, something that God's put on your heart. Now, this is legit. This is so on the spot.
It is.
Well, I know your hotline to God. So I think sometimes he answers your phone call quicker than he does mine.
He knows how much I've got on my plate.
That's
so he's
true.
Like, I got to get this out to her quick.
If there was something that you'd throw out to the group that you would share.
Well, I first would encourage everyone to keep us in your prayers. I know people are like, oh, all I could do is pray. And I'm like, please pray, because that really is like the hotline to God. I mean, prayers answers so much more than think tanks and workshops and meetings and phone calls. I mean, that prayer is really, so be thinking about the Academy. If it's on your heart, I'm not going to, well, I know I'm totally, because I got a spotlight. if it's put on your heart, consider donating to the Academy. I mean, we, we're a ministry of the church.
Partnering with the OA and sowing seed into a bunch of kids.
Sowing seed into a bunch of kids would be fantastic. I mean, it's a ministry arm of our church because we don't charge a lot of tuition. We charge enough to run our day to day. And so, and most of our students are members. They are the children of the people who work in the ministry. And so, our tuition is super low. And so in order to run, we run off of donations. So I'm going to put a plug in there because, and not change your donations from Be in Health to the Academy. Just do both. So don't rob Peter to pay Paul. It doesn't work. But so that, be prayerful for our children. And, when you're thinking about Be in Health and our church body, that's really, these are our next generation. These are our future teachers. These are our future pastors. These are our future accountants. These are our future hairdressers. These are our future everything. President. Oh my goodness. Our future senators, our future, all of these children. And the enemy knows that. And he doesn't stop trying to attack our children and our youth. And it's probably where my biggest heart's cry is for our youth. Our little bitties I definitely love and pray for, but the ones that my heart just goes out in my prayer time is those 13, 14, 15 through 25-year-old children and young adults, because the enemy knows they're the key to what's next. And, revival is going to start with men, and it's going to start with our children. And it's really important that they have this foundation, but they've got to have the prayer covering and they've got to have support. That's my cry. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining. This is about as long as I can sit next to my wife and behave.
I'm really impressed.
So, hey, you know what? I'm behaving because, I'm just sitting there because I listen to you talk and I get lost in your eyes and it's like, oh. And then I'm like, wait, I got to pay attention because I have to ask follow-up questions. And so it's like I have accomplished something. I have sat here and behaved mostly as long as I can. At some point, I know this is down the road, we've got on the schedule for next year before we get rolling. We do have a family one-day conference that we're going to do in July of next year. Yes, which will be just
let's pack it out.
We'll talk. Yeah. We'll talk family ministry. We'll talk family conversations. A lot of Q&A. Prepping for a marriage conference, a 4-day marriage conference later in the year. So when we get closer to that, I'll probably get you to come back on if we don't. Yeah, because that's a whole nother
world of mine. That's families and birthing and women and children and
See, we could spend. That's why I say
I'm glad you kept it to just the Academy because we would still be talking.
Because if not, you're also a doula and you also do family ministry and you also direct the youth program with me. And there's a list of things we could go over and everybody would be like, oh.
So tune in. It's coming.
Thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate you guys actually connecting up with us here on the podcast and spending time with us watching. And if you do decide you want to partner with the OA and Be in Health financially, hit the links below and it will take you to our donate page. And
if you want more information about the Academy, you can.
What's the email address?
We're going to put it below. I think it's info@overcomersacademy.net.
It is.
But if you go to our website, you can click Overcomers Academy and it'll take us there too.
So.
Don't hold me to that.
Hopefully it's down there.
Somebody put it. here. Right there.
Well, I walked the property today. I'm hot. I'm sweaty.
You do smell
boots,
like off. Yeah. Not that you smell off. You smell like off spray.
It's like, that's where you're sitting that far away. It's like she's leaning farther away. You smell off now. So I'm looking forward to a shower. I'm pretty sure something's crawling on my back. But with that, thank you guys for joining us. We love you so much. And we just pray blessings on each and every one of you. We thank you for your continued support with Hope of the Generations Church and Be in Health, and those that partner with financially, and even those that have partnered with us just in prayer. Excuse me.
Prayer.
We hope to see you at a 4 Mile Life program. Guys, I expect to see each and every one of you at the men's conference in October. Hit us up in the comments or in any of the chat windows that these clips will show up to. Let us know you're coming. Share the word out. Hope to see you then. It's going to be... I got the new coins in. I'll have to show you those on another time. So with that, we out of here. Catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye.